The recording should be started now. And we want to welcome you all this afternoon. Have lots of people joining us today. Welcome to the session entitled Ways You Can Advocate for some Computer Science in Your Community. You are joined this afternoon by a couple of wonderful educators in the field of computer science that are a part of CSTA, who will be introducing themselves shortly. For those of you who are just joining us, please drop in the chat your name, state, and chapter. We'd love to know what chapter you're a part of. And if you are not a chapter member, if you're not a part of CSTA, we would like to know that too, so we can assist you. Also in the chat, please add your name, rename yourself to include your state, as we'll be using that later. So just a little bit about this group of educators. Today's presentation is being brought to you by CSTA's, I sound like an infomercial, by CSTA's Teacher-Led Policy Committee. And the policy committee is made up of 15 members, 13 educators, and 2 board member advisors that are serving as advisors, but are CSTA members as well. And myself, Shayna Glass, I am staff here with support from my leadership, BT Torek, and we are aligned with ACE, which is the Alliance for Identity Inclusive Computing Education. So we are part of that alliance. 2 of your speakers today are David Lockett and Lawrence Tanimoto, and I'm going to let them both introduce themselves now.
Okay, hi, I'm Lawrence Tanimoto. I'm from the state of Washington with the Puget Sound chapter.
Hey, and I'm David Lockett, recently Washington, D.C. Excited to join you all this evening.
So I'll start. So what's the diff? So one of the questions we had, we created this policy committee, but really as we started to do policy, we sort of got more into advocacy sort of thing. And so really the question came up, what's the difference between the two? So let's go. So we'll try to explain that. So first of all, what is policy? And there's actually 9. Well, anyway, how many of you are familiar with these 9 different policies listed here? If you want to give me a thumbs up or put in chat, like if you're familiar with creating a state plan, defining standards, allocating funding for training, certification pathways, pre-service programs. Are people familiar with that? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down. Okay, I saw it. Unfortunately, I can't quite see everyone in chat here. But anyway, but these were some, these 9 policies have been the policies that were created in the State of CS report that's done by Code.org, CSTA, and the ECEP Alliance. And this is what we're starting with. However, we're taking these current standards and we're starting to update them to add the CSTA teacher voice. So that's one of the things, and also take into consider several other considerations. Thank you very much. So one of the things we want to ask, I just sort of talked a little bit about these 9 policies. If you look at them, are there any here that you sort of feel is missing from these? Anything that you from the teacher's perspective? I'll give you, if you can just put in chat what do you think about. So I'll read them off again, right? Creating a state plan, have computer K-12 CS standards, allocate funding, create certification pathways, pre-service programs, establish a computer science supervisor position, require all high schools offer computer science, allowed to satisfy core graduation requirement and a higher ed admission requirement. What is something that you feel should be added to these or clarified? Anyone?
So Lawrence, I'm gonna jump in a little bit.
Okay, yes,
'Cause
okay.
especially because I seen the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay, yeah.
And I did put a statement in the
okay.
chat, understanding that teachers, I mean, as teachers, we don't have time to know what the policy
think
is.
about,
It's more
okay.
so, what are the issues that you're facing as a computer science teacher?
Yeah.
So that would be my question to you. Even though these are non-policies that are addressed or are being focused on a national and sometimes state level, for you as a teacher, what is an issue that you face? We want to know specifically, what is something you need more of? It could just be as simple as time, or it could be, I don't have a PLC, or it's just me. What are your issues? And you can drop that in the chat. Maybe it's no funding for your class. Maybe it's, I don't have devices. What are your issues? Is it enough students in your class? Is it student recruitment? Is it administrative support? What are you lacking? I'm not laughing. I'm asking.
Funding. So we have funding opportunities, oversight, that things are actually getting done, more time, funding, severity, recruiting teachers, 6th grade lack of understanding, time in the instructional day, being taken for granted. Time, a lot of time, staffing. Okay, so something, okay, so thank you. Continue to think about that. We'll come back, but it is interesting that very, very few of you have actually seen these policies, because these are the policies that we sort of started out with. And now if we're to go to the next sort of slides here, one of the things that we are looking at is trying to add the teacher voice. So we're trying to get all of your opinions on how we should sort of modify these policies going forward. And this will actually be, we're actually talking about this tomorrow in a session tomorrow, about a survey that we've done along with the Kapoor Center, and to survey current computer science teachers and see what they need. And then what we'll be doing is sort of merging the findings from this study with the current policies to see how we should be moving forward. And so just to put it here, there is this particular link here, and there's no bit. So let's copy in the. So if you're interested in finding out more about what this survey actually says, then we can go here and.
Lawrence,
yes,
the survey is currently closed because it's going to be released. The results.
Oh no. This is for the. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the link that I just put in here. I'm sorry. Yeah. So you can't go to this bit.ly thing. That was the actual survey. What this here is. This is for tomorrow's session, where they're going to be revealing the results of this survey, so that you can kind of see how we might be merging it to get together to come up with some new policies that we want to shoot for. So if you are interested, I just pasted that link in for tomorrow's session. That's at 4 to 5 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, so you can see the results of that. But that's what we're working on from the policy standpoint. So the policy, I just to reiterate. So the policy is what we're looking at is sort of the map as to where we want to go. And now we're going to be talking about a little bit more about, and this is still a work in progress because we want to find out a good direction for ourselves. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what is advocacy. The next page, right? And advocacy, we're viewing advocacy as the action we take to achieve these goals. And it's the process to navigate the map that we're developing by policies. And this is where you know, we want all of your feedback into the policies that we create, but we also very much need your help to actually achieve these policies, right? Because if you just having ideas itself isn't good enough, right? We want to actually achieve them. And so that's where we need all of your help as advocates, right? And we want to point out that advocates, because we do need the actual action, right? And we wanted to point out that advocates exist at various levels in each state, from state government at the state government level to the classroom teacher, to the district level, to the school level. So that's what advocacy. So policy is the map, and advocacy is policy is the goal, and advocacy is the action to achieve those goals. So that's one of the problems we have next slide, I believe the next slide. Yeah. Okay. And I should point out that one of the problems that we have in the whole CS education policy arena, there are several organizations that do have advocates at the state level, and so they're able to advocate. So, for example, code.org, and to a lesser, and then things like the ECEP, the Alliance, and so on and so forth. And so do have advocates at the state level, but what they all lack, and what we need your help in, is trying to get more advocates who can work at the district and school levels, because that's really where all the action occurs. Okay, so what we wanted to sort of ask you next is, and that's where content is, to go to menti.com and sort of just give your ideas of why you might want to be an advocate for K-12 computer science, and sort of share your ideas on that. So I think Shayna's put the link in chat as well, so you can see that. Okay. You can put yours in there, and then Shayna, do you need to show the screen at all, or okay, to see what people have put in there, so you can see what as you are typing in your own ideas to share my voice. Right, change of all, okay, and not the incredible, yes, like an elective advice, yeah. So definitely, yeah, I think one of the things we are looking at is to make it less of an elective and more of a sort of something that everyone has, right? So we want to do that. Jobs of the future, definitely. Sharing your voice. Everyone needs computers. Opportunities for students, they're all there. And do that. And so I think Shayna, we're coming back to this in a little bit, right? A little bit later. I'd truly prepare for workplace, advocate for nonprofits. Not all leaders getting it. We need to start getting comfortable at a younger age. All of these are very good things. So and we'll be keeping this, right? And we actually have this for quite a long time. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Thank you very much. Bring curiosity into there, prepare our youth. Okay. Okay, and then I think we'll come back to that. So please continue to post your ideas in there. And now I'll talk about it. So this is one of the things, I guess this is the how it started, how it's going sort of poster that will be one of your opportunities at the end of this session to sort of create your path to CS advocacy, and sort of to end my sort of part of this presentation. I'll talk about mine, and this is my how it started, how it's going poster. And for me, like I'll say that my sort of pathway into CS Ed policy started. I actually retired from teaching in at the end of the 2021 school year. And at the time, because I was in Washington and sort of, work in Seattle and that sort of stuff, and I retired, and I'd been teaching what I thought was a pretty good CS program there. When I retired, I kind of thought that the state of CS education in my state was actually pretty good. It said, hey, my school is doing fine. I know lots of other schools in the areas, they have much smarter people than, they have, much better programs than I do. I thought we were, pretty good. However, then after retired, I started getting involved. First, I went to, I started to review grants for funding for teacher training for CS. And I realized that that training really wasn't going to do very much. And then I started going to some of these other presentations about the state of CS in the nation. And I realized that Washington really was pretty mediocre. So over time, I started going from this sort of blissfully unaware to sort of this slightly angry and sort of determined sort of person to try and do something better here. So this is me before, and this is sort of me now. And I decided to choose a nice Shiba Inu dog because it's Japanese as I am, and it's cute. So, but that's my story. So I will.
Thanks for sharing, Louis.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'd like to say, how's it started and how's it going now? I look back, I served as a STEM and computer science teacher for close to 13 years. And here's a picture there where I started. We're in the classroom with some of our students working on We Do projects, working on coding in the classroom. And I look at how it's going. Most recently, I served as an Einstein Fellow at the NASA Office of STEM Engagement, where I helped and co-assisted in designing STEM and computer science outreach and activities for students nationwide and globally. I always like to, look at, where you started at, where you're going, as a good placeholder, because you're still going places, you're still working on new initiatives, you're still building new ideas, and you're still integrating everything that you're working on and listening to, especially with educators daily. It has been an amazing process, working in the classroom and working with those students, and, working with NASA, and actually working there and designing that to now to working on various programs and projects that assist with federal funding. I'm currently at the School of Applied Computational Sciences, where we design new programs, not only for students, college students, but for high school students as well. We most recently hosted Dr. Cyan Proctor, the SpaceX Inspiration 4 pilot for data science and computer science-based projects. So, whenever you look at that, how it started, how it's going, soak it all in, and think about, what can come next. All right, Shana.
Thanks, David. And I shared mine. So I also started off as a teacher, as many teachers did. I also started off learning about computer science through code.org. And from there, I became a facilitator. So I'm sharing some images from when I started in computer science. I wasn't exposed in high school. I think my school offered it, but it was not something that was shared with me. And but I fell in love with it and really started researching and wanting to learn more beyond just code.org's curriculum. And that led to even more questions that has evolved over the time to where I am now, where I now work for a CSTA, and I get to support this wonderful committee of educators, along with supporting my state when it comes to policy and pushing for more exposure for students and teachers and now administrators, as there's not many of those even that exist to support and coach teachers, to support you all. So I get to do that along with other things. I support I manage the Equity Fellows here at CSTA, and I get to support affinity groups. So these are just some of the things that I get to do and get to enjoy sharing my passion with others from once I began just supporting my students. And I'm turning it back over to David.
Thank you. So this year, the CSEdWeek theme highlights the progress that has occurred in computer science over the last decade. There's been many great advancements in computer science, making it more equitable and accessible for all learners. So this is where you come in. We're looking for advocates. These advocates can establish a CS program on their own. These advocates can be within various states. They can be within various chapters as well. By becoming an advocate, you can directly assist with the policy committee for assistance. Advocates, we're looking for advocates from various organizations. They can have access to various grassroots organizations as well. But these advocates are there to bridge the gap. They're there to not only celebrate success in CS, but to keep an eye on our advancements, to make sure that every student has an equal opportunity to learn computer science. Becoming an advocate from a state level organization can help your CS chapter with policy changes and further the mission's goals. And we'll go to that next slide. So when looking for these teacher advocacy leaders, you've got a few frequently asked questions here. We're looking for at least one per state. Our goal is one per chapter. If you look at some of the frequently asked questions, you're looking to collaborate within advocacy. You're looking to serve as a liaison. You're looking for bringing on contacts and mentor teachers who are interested in bringing CS to their school. Because I know I spoke with a teacher today that's, they said, we're working on a CS program, but how can we do that? How can we bring in an advocate so we can show our administration that CS is something that's needed and CS that, we've got the resources for it within our classroom. In order to be an advocacy leader, you could be a current chapter officer. You may be a member of another CS education advocacy organization as well. In looking at these advocates, how can we build on our regional leaders? How can we bolster our existing advocacy and our existing leadership within chapters already? So becoming that teacher advocacy leader, this is one roadmap. This is one route that you can take to get there. CSTA will, of course, provide support to teacher advocacy leaders to bolster these efforts, to collaborate and produce the advocacy that's needed within your chapter. So now it's your turn. Who are the CS advocates at each level in your state? We've also got an advocacy checklist that we'll share with you today, where we'll actually start creating these advocacy lists. We'll be looking at things in the community, within the state, within local efforts. Thank you. This editable and shareable form will enable you to kind of go ahead and identify advocacy goals that you can already identify, of course, from a state, local, or community effort. Does your chapter have a point of contact? Does the staff have a focus point of contact? Who is advocating within the community itself? From a local standpoint, can you identify a school level leader, a district level leader, or a CS chapter leader? These breakout room options will help you enable that.
Before we go on breakouts, Lawrence is going to share his example of how you can kind of fill this out. You're still on mute, Lawrence.
Yes, I'll put that in. Oh, yeah, okay, put that in. Well, let me take that. Okay. You want to see my example of this? This one. So if you click on this example here, this is one that I created for myself. Now, I'm in a slightly different situation from all of you since I'm sort of retired, but you should fill this out as best as you can for your particular situation.
So what we're going to do now,
Yeah.
we're going to go into breakout rooms, and hopefully you all made yourself a copy. And we want your general information. So we want to know who you are, what school or organization you're with, and what state you're a part of. And then you're going to go into breakout rooms so you can kind of discuss who they are. Now, originally I was going to put you by state, but everyone didn't fill it out. And I think it's okay that there's a mix, because then you can kind of talk through, if you choose to come off mute and just discuss, well, we have a state rep, or my district doesn't have a CS person. Does your district have a state person? If you're a part of a CSTA chapter, within your chapter, is there someone who can answer questions about things happening regionally? Who are those people? Everyone's will be different, unless you're in the same area. Excuse me. But a whole goal is, I'm sorry. We just kind of want you to brainstorm. So I'm gonna stop talking, and I'm gonna move you to rooms.
We should go. So also, if you're interested in becoming an advocacy lead for your chapter, also put a link here to a sign-up form that you can fill out, just to let you know that you're interested in perhaps learning more. Just because you express an interest doesn't mean you're totally locked into it, but we are looking for people who are willing to help with this effort more at the grassroots level. So please, if doing some of this work does seem of interest to you, please let us know. So put that link in there.
I'm a little better now.
Okay.
We want you to fill this out as much as you can. Talk across your room. Ask questions. If you have questions, we'll still be here. David and Lawrence will probably lurk a little to see if you need any support. But if you need to come back to the main room for any reason, you can. You're going to be in there for 10 minutes. So it's not to take a lot of time, but just to give you time to communicate across those who are in the room. You can definitely start with the protocol of introducing yourself to each of them in the room. And then you each should have this, of course, to fill out your own. And we are going to ask for you to share that with us, not whole group, but you're going to bring that back to us once you return. So whatever you can think of, we would love for you to share. I'm going to open the rooms now, and we'll see you back here at 40 after. You're a bigger voice, and you have more of an impact together than alone. And even if you are the only at your school, you're not alone. You may be the only at your school saying we need CS, but you're not the only one across the country saying we need CS. And there are people who are advocating, alongside you that you may not even realize. But as teachers, your voice right now in 2022, going into 2023, is so much more powerful than you know. Everyone wants to know, how can you advocate? And the two words that Lawrence and David, and I'm not hijacking the meeting, I promise, but the two words that David and Lawrence discussed was advocacy and policy. The one that they did not say is lobbying. Lobbyists get paid. We're not lobbyists. We are not lobbying for anyone. We are advocating for students and their needs in computer science. So, and as an advocate, this group is going to show you actionary steps that you can take. So every time they provide professional development, and you can come and learn more about that, but every time they provide professional development, it will be on the actionary steps that you can take to be an advocate for your students. Not just saying we need it, but things that you can do that are proactive to get your school administrators to listen. I've seen some of that feedback in the chat, about admin not really understanding, but then also going and getting your school board, because administrators are like tied in knots, right? It's more so those who make the decisions, and where you all are, that is your school boards, right? So how can you get them to hear what the needs are? This group of teacher-led educators can assist you in the steps that you can take, not alone, but to do this. And if you feel, if you get that armor from this group and feel like you have the confidence to take it to the state level, they will be here to support that level as well. I see Henry shaking his head. Henry is one of the chairs. So if he's saying thumbs up and David and Lawrence are saying a thumbs up, then that means that, and Amber is also here, she's also on the committee, then they will be here to support you. So the key is you will not be alone. Am I saying that right, David and Lawrence?
That's correct, yes.
Excellent. So the question is, and let's see, is there any other questions in the room? Yes, Henry, excellent, excellent, excellent. So the question is, where do we, and I've been sharing this whole time, haven't I? The question is, where do you share this information? How do we get this back? We know everyone here may not feel quite ready to be their chapter's leader. But if you know someone in your chapter that should be, or someone in your area that should be, along with filling out this form, to drop the link to your checklist that you just completed, right? We want that back because we want to know who's in your area. We want to know who you listed. It may be people we don't know. We want to know that more so than anything. But it could be that you say me, pick me. We want to know who that is. We want to know who you are. And we want to help each of you, knowing that right now you see the urgency in not just focusing on mathematics and reading. Thumbs up, emoji or something if you agree with that. It's not to just focus on these two subject areas. It is to create future problem solvers, critical thinkers. And it does not just start with just quote unquote coding as well. I know that all of you understand what I'm saying as you are here. The question that came out of my room, I want to address it. Eugene, out of California, he asked the question, what is the historical context? Like, does anyone know the historical context of how this even began?
It was not, Shane, it was not a question. It was a comment that I can describe how it all started.
But
yes. You already know. Go ahead. I'll listen to what you said first.
How about, you're right, it was not a question. Okay, so what I'll say is, how about I share, and then if you can fill in the gaps for me, Eugene.
Good, so that's great.
Some years ago, CSTA actually established a they called it Seesaw, CSALT, which is the computer science. Am I saying it right, Eugene? And I know they know this too, Lawrence and David. We've talked about this because the one of the goals is to create these chapter advocacy leaders. They want to say, just call it the Seesaw, just call it the computer science advocacy leaders.
Leadership team.
Yeah, leadership team. This is the original goal was to have two per state. So 100 members of Seesaw. The goal now is to actually have a person, a chapter advocacy leader per chapter. Ironically, there's about 100 chapters here in the United States. So, well, -5 internationally. So, but the goal is to have one per chapter, that can bring back the state goals, advocacy, or policies, state policies, and to bring back what is being trained, they're being trained on from the advocacy, from the policy committee. That is what the current goals are. The previous goals was, it was pretty, they're pretty aligned, except the difference, one of the differences is that this group is looking specifically at using the data from the teacher landscape survey based off of teacher recommendations, and they are developing recommendations specifically from teachers. So it's a little different, as we have initially adopted the code.org policy recommendations, but that may not be what is the final result. It may not be identical to code.org. It may be its own, specifically from teachers. That's a little twist, because we want your voices to be heard. I think you all deserve to have a seat at the table. Eugene, you want to add?
Yeah, just basically, I think the leadership advocacy got started in 2008, I believe. But during that period, I mean, what I can say is this, from my perspective, is being on the initial group of individuals, what has transpired since 2008. It fills my heart with joy, because the work and stuff that we did, I can see the result of that particular work. Okay, giving an example, like 2008, I mean, because I was on Advocacy leadership team, I was selected to go to the state of California they were revamping the CTE, Career Tech Education curriculum, and computer science. I think they call it computers or whatever in that particular curriculum. And I was up in Sacramento to work on revising the curriculum, and then I was looking for the word algorithm. And the whole entire book, there was the word algorithm was not even mentioned. And we're talking about a computer science tech ed. So back then, there was nothing really happening, no schools or anything else. And so we in 2008 or so, they came up with the Advocacy leadership team, and then that's when I was on the college board when they was developing the AP Computer Science Principles course. I was with them for about 5 years, but everything that I see that's going on right now, like I said, it fills my heart with joy, because we were the catalyst for it. Even the CSEdWeek, the first name, CSTA started that first program, CSEdWeek, but it was the Grace Hopper. It was in celebration of Grace Hopper, world known computer scientist. It was her birthday week. Okay, and then code.org came in around 2012 or so, sort of hijacked a little bit and called the Hour of Code event. But they've done a great job themselves too. But what I did as advocate was I went to school board meetings, okay, and advocated for computer science. One meeting I went to, I made a comment. I said, I just had a grandson that was born. It's possible for my grandson to start kindergarten and go from kindergarten to the 12th grade and never sit in front of a computer. This is in 2008, all right? That was the reality. And so one of the board members, she looked at one guy in charge of the curriculum and said, "Is that right? Is that right?" And he told her yes. So everything has changed right now. K-12, I mean, during that period in the turn of the century, there was nobody, I cannot think of any major organization or schools across the country that was teaching computer science. So what we have done, that Advocacy leadership team, has changed everything since, like I said, we got started in 2008. Notes I got. I like Polis, the governor of Colorado. He came up with the idea for calling the CSEdWeek. So there was a bill that was passed, and it's an official bill the first week of December is CSEdWeek, but it was a CSTA that started that. Okay, we were the first to start. Now code.org calls our of code. I think that's about it. Basically, I just want everybody to know what you're trying to do. If you're gonna be an advocate, you'll be pleased at the work that you put in and the results that are derived from that actual work. There was a bunch of us, like I said, running around the country, and what you see happening now across this nation is what we started in 2008. So that's my 2 cents.
That is excellent. excellent, and I appreciate you sharing and giving that background and insight. And some of that I did not know. So that wasn't in what was shared with me. But some of the people who were a part of Seesaw are also a part of this committee. We would love to build and have you all to join. And Eugene, we would love to even have you be a part of this as representative for California as well. So definitely fill out this form if you can. As Lawrence mentioned earlier, there is a session tomorrow, just about the same time, that is going to be going over the teacher landscape survey results. The website will go live tomorrow. There's a wonderful, beautiful website that will go over all of this, including recommendations from the teachers who submitted on that survey. If you are interested, the link to register for this is in the chat, but we will also follow up on this from the follow-up once this session closes. So your follow-up email will include the links to this as well. It is also in Member Nova if you are a CSTA member, so you can sign up now. We appreciate all of you for coming and for joining us today. And we hope that you do sign up so we can send you additional information of when this committee will be presenting again. If you are a chapter leader for your chapter, no pressure, but this group will also be presenting next steps next week in the Chapter Leaders Learning Series. If you have questions or want to know more about that, and you want to find out more, I will drop my email here in the chat so that I can see about how you can learn more about the Chapter Leaders Learning Series. It is specifically for chapter leaders, and this form is for those who want to go beyond and be that advocate. So please let me know as I can connect you with the right people to get you to the next session so that you can hear where and when the policy committee will be sharing more details and trainings. Lawrence and David, close us out. You got 2 minutes to conclude. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. And please sign up and help us out. And the CSEd movement needs all of your help.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being an advocate.